Stratton Oakmont was a penny stock company founded in 1989 by Jordan Belfort. With the help of over 1,000 brokers, Belfort ran a boiler room that sold penny stocks and other liquid securities, making millions of dollars by swindling its investors. Over the 10 years the company operated, they defrauded investors of over $300 million before the company imploded in 1999. The firm did this by running a pump and dump scheme where it persuaded investors to buy stock to raise the share price and then sell its own shares to make enormous profits. The share price would then plummet, leaving investors with huge losses. They did this using 5 simple steps. First, they found any company with a passable story, which they then passed off as an extremely successful firm worth investing in. They then searched for gullible investors to invest, telling them they could make big wins on the up-and-coming IPO. The next stage was bait and switch. Whilst brokers started off nice, they soon put overwhelming pressure on investors, blackmailing them with pitches full of lies. At the 4th stage, they manipulated the market so that the price rose drastically for the stocks. Finally, Stratton Oakmont cashed out, selling all its shares. The stock market then crashed, leaving the investors' shares worthless. Although this lasted for 10 years, time eventually caught up with Belfort and he was arrested for securities fraud and money laundering and was convicted in 2002, though he only served 22 months in jail. He was then ordered to pay $110.4 million to his victims, although he has only paid a tenth of this despite having a multi-million-dollar movie deal.
So how did Stratton Oakmont get away with it, and were there any controls or governance systems in place to prevent their actions? In fact, Stratton Oakmont is an extreme case of a lack of governance. Although there were established governance systems and identifiable risks, all in all, those at the top of Stratton Oakmont willingly chose not to comply with any of them. This led to devastating effects for investors who had placed their trust in Stratton Oakmont's employees. The NASD and the SEC were the main bodies responsible for watching over the actions of security firms like Stratton Oakmont. However, despite the size of Stratton Oakmont's fraudulent actions, it wasn't until 1996 that they eventually got shut down by the NASD, who decided that they posed an ongoing risk to the investing public. This really put into perspective the effectiveness of firms like the NASD and the SEC, and why they weren't able to stop Belfort, Porish and Stratton Oakmont any earlier. Overall, this huge scandal occurred due to the decisions of the managers themselves, largely Belfort and Porish. They intentionally went out of their way to sabotage their clients for their own selfish gain and lavish lifestyles. This is proven by Milton Friedman's theory of individualism, which states that the objective of a business person is to maximise profit for their owner and stakeholders. But clearly, the only stakeholder important in Belfort's mind was himself. Evidence also suggests that once someone partakes in a fraudulent activity, they will find it difficult to stop, hence why Belfort and his partners managed to swindle millions of dollars out of their clients. Their unethical behaviour goes further when we take into consideration that not only Stratton Oakmont's managers, but their employees also willingly took part in their fraudulent activities, possibly due to pressure exerted by those at the top of the company.
Stratton Oakmont has had many control governance failures, ranging from specific financial failures like fraud and forgery to more characteristic inability to adhere to laws and regulations like immoral ethics. Constant engagement in this throughout their active years, like making useless shares seem valuable to investors through synthetic price rising, is a control failure, fraud. This is because the firm has put its own financially illegal desires before the protection of their investors, more so showing clear exploitation of their trust. Using external people to imitate the disposal of shares and create an impression that money came in a legitimate way is another governance failure, money laundering. That is because the true origin of funds was illegal and Stratton made it look lawful. Preventing clients from being able to sell shares back or ignoring when they could not prevent any longer is a failure to do the right thing for the good of society. This is due to the firm's incompetence in the recognition of the principles of the eternal law.
So what's stopping another company doing a similar thing? Well, in the 21st century, due to vast amounts of free-flowing information available as a result of the internet, it is now very difficult to deceive investors and run pump and dump schemes, as they can instantly get access to information on share prices. Furthermore, regulators have become much stricter within recent years, especially after the Enron and WorldCom scandals, as well as the banking financial crisis, meaning it is unlikely that a firm would get away with this for as long as Stratton Oakmont did. There are also other factors which would prevent this, including individual brokers' ethics, tighter control on money laundering, and more regulatory scrutiny.